NLP traditionally used for therapy, used for indirect hypnosis, used for a variety of things. But
Hmm.
some parts of NLP, like sensory representation,
Hmm.
VAKOG, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory, parts like this makes very useful for coaching. When clients speak, it's becoming clearer for me. I can see that that client is speaking in the visual language. You can
Hmm.
sense the predicates and respond to the client. When we say client's language, it's not just the words. You can also sensorily respond back to client in the way they are speaking. Oh, it rings a bell in my ears. It sounds music to me. So that means they're hearing something. Something is happening auditorily. You can respond auditorily. I can feel it. So you often see clients, they use hands. They say that it's burden on my shoulders.
Hmm.
Kinesthetically, they are feeling something. You can respond back to that. And you can pick up metaphors. Metaphors and anchors are probably one of the greatest gifts of NLP's work, though not the original work of NLP. It existed before NLP. I think it is just an open topic that it was always there. But the amount of work on metaphors that NLP has done is really great. A simple thing that client can tell you in the flow of the language. My job feels like hell. We assume that it's normal English. What kind of hell is that? Can now client can start describing you the hell. It's dark. Then you can get into submodalities. You can actually picture the whole scenario of hell. And once you're able to do that, slowly you can, ask the client some point, when you're calibrated enough, and what do you want to do about it? Maybe a client will say, I just want to get out of this hell. And and what makes you say so? Maybe there is a awareness. I don't want to stay here. This is a very dirty, filthy place. How do you plan to do that? I can just press a eject button and just fly from here. Yeah, go ahead and do that. Using submodalities, anchors, metaphors are some of the greatest gifts that coaches can use when it comes to evoking awareness and facilitating growth. It depends how the client is perceiving. And to get into that is what you can do as a coach. So, we have used empty chairs. Psychodrama uses empty chair. NLP
Hmm.
uses perceptual position. When you see that
Yeah.
somebody is in conflict with someone, you can actually use that process. Visualization is a big work of NLP. You can actually take the permission of the client, say that, can we do a visualization process, take them into visual imagery of what the action somebody wants to take. So I want to deliver a presentation for 500 people. I'm feeling nervous about it. So that's the topic that client brings it. So you work. So what's the goal? I want to feel confident in front of 500 people. I just want to deliver my best. My content is ready, but just that I have to be confident in front of 500 people. So as you work, maybe you can just use visualization technique. Help the client here and now visualize that there are 500 people in front of them. Fill in as much confidence as they want. Anchor it. Anchor it maybe multiple times. How do you want to feel? And then you will see that because they have visualized it, because they have anchored the confidence now, when they do it in real,
Hmm.
they are much, much better. Because everything happens in the world, first happens 6 inches between the ears and then outside.
When we think of the word system, what really comes up as a first word is really a family as a system, right? And similarly, when we think of an organization, system would really be inclusive of, you know, everything that one can really think of, like the stakeholders, the internal customers, the external customers. So anything which really helps to run a business becomes a part of a system. And when in John Whittington's systemic coaching book, he talks of a beautiful metaphor, which is that of a peacock's tail, right? The tail of a peacock. And when we think of an individual, though we consider the individual, with all their thoughts, their beliefs, their values, and all of that, but when we can just think of that picture of the tail of a peacock and how many parts are there in that tail. So when we are looking at an individual with all that is part of the tail, then you can imagine that what one person and their system would be. So and a system really is about all these small parts with their tails really make like an entire system. Like the group coaching and the team coaching part of it. So if we can just look at this as an example, individual coaching, we all understand, it is to explore and to bring the potential that is within an individual to the surface and operate from that space. When it is about group coaching, it can be people from different segments or different functions coming together to work for a common interest, right? And then they're not dependent on each other. Their work is not dependent on each other. Team coaching, it's a lot of interdependency. There is a shared goal, and there is a lot of interdependency that is within the people who are part of that particular team. And interdependency is not uncommon. It is through systemic team coaching is where the team coach is making them aware of those interdependencies, and so that when they have this larger I or the objective of that shared goal as the supreme, how we can, as part of those system, consider not just one or a single point of view, but the point of view of the system while working on the shared goal. So it is complex, it can be messy, all of that. But I think to walk on that path of complexity unravels a lot of information about that system. So whatever I'm just talking is based on what I have been experiencing when I'm working with with these few companies that I've worked with. It's complex. I mean, at the end of the day, I really understand it's as a and we are not getting into system working as a team coach or a systemic coach thinking that the process is going to be simpler. It is with the acceptance that it's the road not taken, it's complexity that we are working on together. So that's how I understand systemic team coaching, group coaching, and team coaching.
And how does meditation help with that? Well, what I said, right? Like if we think about it, look at the ICF core competencies. We start with ethical practice, right? Ethical practice is about client centricity. Client centricity is about holding other people in unconditional. Let's try that again. Client centricity is about holding other people in unconditional positive regard. How do we hold people in unconditional positive regard? We need to have an open heart. What does meditation help us with? Opening up our heart space. Then we look at embodying a coaching mindset. So even that whole first word there, embodying, when we meditate, and again, I'm going to come around to this at the end, but like, I'm really passionate about meditation being an embodied experience. So it's not just about the breath. It's not about breath control. It's not about thought control. It's about being with what's in the moment, which includes our bodies. It includes the way that our bodies are responding to things. What tells us that we're uncomfortable is a feeling in our body that we don't like. And that's what makes us do something different because we don't want to be in that. So when we embody a coaching mindset, it means that we're being embodied ourselves, first of all, before we can even begin to take on a coaching mindset. And it also talks about that coaching mindset being open and flexible. Well, again, meditation helps us with that openness and that flexibility because it keeps us in the present moment without wishing that that moment was anything different than what it is. And even when we do wish that that moment was different from what it is, we stay in it, right? We stay open to it. We stay present. And then there's establishes and maintains agreements. Well, without getting all into the technicalities of that, it's about partnering. And it's also about basically intention setting, right? Working with the client to determine what has meaning to them, how they want to take that meaning forward. It's so connected to other people, and meditation, by letting us be connected to ourselves and to our deeper meanings, helps open us up to also connecting to other people and being curious about what meaning things hold for them instead of just looking to be practicality, of course, is important, but we're not just looking at practicality. We're looking at motivation here and meaning. And then the other ones that are fairly maybe more obvious, but like trust and safety and presence and listening, right? So when we meditate, we are, let me just back up here. A large part of trust and safety, when we talk about safety, is about psychological safety. And what is psychological safety? It's the ability to take risks. So again, when we meditate, when we take the risk, when we come out of our comfort zones and stay present and get more okay with navigating that, we're never going to be comfortable with it. But we get more okay with that. We build that safety for ourselves. We can then build that safety. We can hold that space for other people to also feel safe.
Couple of things are coming to my mind. One thing is that, coaching could sound like an instruction manual. When you're following markers and competencies, too much of structure, and you're shooting off questions one after the other in a particular, I first do the agreement. So I ask, where do you want to get to, and what's going to come in the way, and why is this important? And tuck, 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 tuck. You know the format, the structure, and you're trying to kind of follow that structure. It'll sound like a sequence of instructions, or it would sound like an interrogation, or it would sound like a template, right? That is how it would sound.
Yeah.
And I think the words that you used, depth and flavor, these are the words that you used when you asked the question. I think ontology brings that flavor, depth. It brings silence. It brings space inside of that conversation. A space that is very nourishing, a space that is very encouraging, a space that is very accommodating, a space of that kind where a client feels like they can come and stay there and rejuvenate and find themselves, right? That is what I think ontology does when you start inviting, when you start looking at it as what is it adding. I mean, everything already exists. It's just that everything transforms when you're able to bring that depth and the silence and the space, and you're able to match it with that of the need of the client.